All right, time for AM Talk. My guest seated, one on his way. Let me just introduce to you Dr. Joseph Mamboa-Roxin, who is a political scientist, also contesting for the Bimbela seat on the ticket of the NDC. But first, he has to jump that hurdle of the internal party politics. So I want to ask you, how is it going?
Very, very well. I think the people of Bimbela and its surroundings are accepting me very well, because when you look at what I have brought, I'm coming into Bimbela as a unifier. Bimbela has gone through a lot, and it is still going through a lot. And I intend to bring peace and development into Bimbela.
Even within your own party,
within my party,
NDC, you've
yes,
got competition.
Yes, I have competition. But Bimbela people are discerning. Bimbela people are very intelligent. As I campaign around, I know, and like they know, that some people have been planted against me so that they diffuse the votes so that one of the 5 will emerge. Who wouldn't be me? Because if it were me, I will have the elections, next year's elections, very easy.
Really?
Yes.
Dominic Nitiwo is not strong on the ground?
His time has passed. I think the people of Bimbela are tired. Both the Nanumbers and the Konkombes are sick and tired of war drums every 4 years. We need peace.
Is it because of the Member of Parliament? I mean, what has he got to do?
No, it's not because of Member of Parliament, but every 4 years he goes to the constituency to campaign. NDC, hither to this time, had not accepted a Konkomba as their candidate. They always went for a Nanumba. But because of certain persuasions within the party, it was agreed that a Konkomba be made a candidate in the NDC, which they have accepted.
Which is you?
Not me particularly, a Konkomba.
Because you have others.
Yes, but others who are competing against.
Who are also Konkombas.
Who are also Konkombas.
Okay.
And then there's one Nanumba.
Okay.
Yes. However, the understanding was that if a Konkomba emerges, then we can take that seat. Because originally, Konkombas had been NDC. All across the country, Konkombas had been NDC. But the fact that there was a conflict between the Nanumbers and the Konkombas, in fact, twice, around 1999, 2004, the MP in that area, who happens to be Honorable Nitiwo, always goes there every 4 years to remind them of the conflict. He tells the Konkombas that, hey, if you vote for a Nanumba, you know, they're going to harass you, they're going to ask you.
Have you sat through any of these meetings before?
Yes.
Because, you know,
yes.
you're
I've gone to campaign there on several times.
And you've witnessed him tell his people this?
Tell his people, our people, because I'm the same ethnic group with him. I've witnessed him tell people this, and there's a fear factor. In both areas, the Nanumbers are not comfortable with the Konkombas, and the Konkombas are not comfortable with the Nanumbers. And there's this kind of resentment that is within these two ethnic groups that I want to unite.
But are you politicians in that area not even fueling these?
No, we are not.
Because to bring ethnicity into this whole...
He has been fueling it, and I want to quench it. Because in quenching it, you would not remind the people at all and begin to put certain programs in place, like the students' unions of both ethnic groups, like the social groups of both groups, promoting certain engagements in Bimbela and its surroundings.
So that's what you're promising them?
Yes, that's
but is that what they want?
Them. That's what they want. They are tired. During my campaign in the primaries, there is a lot of cheers when I mention that they are all afraid of each other. And when I ask them categorically, is that not true? They say yes. The Nanumbers are not comfortable with the Konkombas, and the Konkombas are not comfortable with the Nanumbers. And that is something we must forget. I mean, people fight and people become the best of friends. And I think I will promote unity and development in Bimla to make sure that that does not occur, never occurs, occur in terms of conflict between the two. We are all blacks, and I've stayed in the U.S. for a very long time. And if blacks are married to whites in the U.S., how come that Nanombes and Konkombes cannot intermarry? How come they cannot do that? How come they cannot develop programs to make sure conflict is out of their sphere entirely and forever?
Well, I wish you well.
And that is, thank you very much.
I wish
and
you
that is
well.
what I want to promote.
All right, so let's talk about the NPP now, because they've been a major talking points. Paul Afoko has been in the news since last week when he was asked to step aside. He's on suspension, even though he insists that he's in charge. My colleague Kwabna Chencha Keneboaten caught up with his lawyer and they have a conversation. We'll bring you a playback of that and then we'll continue our conversation in studio.
A vice chairman, whether first, second or third, has no job description in our party unless the national chairman delegates a function to him or her, or the national executive or the national council specifically gives a particular job to such a vice chairman to perform. So if Mr. Afoko was in the country and in Accra, and there was a meeting of the National Executive Committee to be called, our party constitution is very clear. The steering committee, National Executive Committee, National Council meetings, Mr. Afoko convenes and presides over such meetings. Nobody ever brought to the attention of Mr. Paul Afoko the need to call even a NEC meeting, even if that was the appropriate meeting to be called, for him to even decide that my attention has been drawn to the fact that there's some decision from somewhere requiring the calling of a NEC meeting, and I think I will not call it.
Could he also be
for that to be a basis for somebody to say that, oh, we drew Mr. Paul Afoko's attention to this pressing matter, and by his conduct he has refused.
Could that not have been the case, particularly seeing that one of the issues that were tabled for discussion was the fact that he ought to be suspended, according to the disciplinary committee reveals?
That is a misinformation that is doing the rounds. And that line of argument is flawed. In this our party, we have a precedent.
Cite one.
And I'm citing it for you. When Mr. Harry Neseku was the national chairman, a matter involving him, you remember the kickback matter? He called the meeting, told the meeting that the matter is about him, and so he's stepping aside for Mr. Stephen Tim to preside over the meeting. That was a validly called meeting. Nobody went behind Mr. Iseku to call the meeting on his blind side, as it was done in this case. You get my point.
But be it as it may, Mr. Afoko still got wind of the fact that there was going to be such a meeting, at least more than 24 hours to the time. What prevented him
Where
from...
do you get this information?
At least he came out with a press statement, and we all saw copies of that statement.
No,
It was clearly about
24 hours.
It was clearly about 24 hours to the said meeting. Now,
It wasn't 24 hours.
whatever the case, he did get the information way ahead of time. Why did he not do something about it? Obviously, he did come out with a
Something
statement.
like what?
Why did he not show up for the meeting?
A meeting you are not aware of. A meeting you did not call.
You haven't called for the meeting. Yes, still others have called for that same meeting.
Others have called.
Yes.
And you think anybody at all can just get up and call any meeting within the NPP?
If you saw it as that illegal, he could have come in to say something or
I
two.
don't know where you are coming from with this question. If a meeting is improper and you are not invited, you get up and go and get crashed? Is that what you are telling me? Or are you saying that Mr. Afoko was invited to attend the meeting and he refused?
Was he invited?
He was not invited. And that is what I'm telling you. That the fact that he got wind of some meeting taking place didn't mean that he should just get up and walk into the meeting and say that whether you invited me or not, I am here. To do what?
That probably could have.
What we are saying is that that meeting was improperly called, and so any deliberations that took place was improper, unlawful, illegal, unconstitutional. The party has a way of calling steering committee, NEC, and National Council meetings. Normally, the Director of Finance and Administration will send out notices inviting members. In this particular case, the Director of Finance and Administration never sent out the notices.
So by this, the
notice, if you allow me to finish, the notice was sent from a mobile phone from a private office.
Whose office?
The office I cannot tell you, but the name of the person whose phone was used, I can tell you. Nana Yawamankwa, a certain Nana Yawamankwa.
And who is he in the party?
Nobody in the party. And that is why I told you that if a properly called meeting, the notices of a properly called meeting are to be sent out, the party has a way of sending it out. And the Director of Finance and Administration does it. He knows how those official notices are sent out. So for a notice convening a NEC to be done from somebody's mobile phone, why would the Director of Finance and Administration not call it? So for us, that meeting was improperly called. Apart from that, it was improperly constituted. The NEC has a certain number. Those who met there did not even constitute a quorum.
So you know of those who went there, the exact numbers?
Of them.
I see.
I've heard some names, but
let me ask. Since Mr. Afoko took office, there's been a lot of back and forth in the party. There's been a lot of issues in the party. Now, for many, this suggests that a lot of people did not want him to be chairman of the party in the first place.
A lot of people. What you see, please look at your choice of words very well.
I'm saying that's what some say.
Please. Delegates meet in Tamale. Majority say they want him as national chairman. You sit here with me and tell me that majority didn't want him to be chairman?
A lot of people doesn't connote majority anyway. But the question still remains.
If a lot of people,
yes, it doesn't anyway suggest majority.
And majority of delegates said they wanted him as chairman, then what are you telling me?
So since he became national chairman of the party, there's been a lot of bickering. Could this be?
There's been a lot of what?
There's been a lot of bickering in the party. There's been a lot of. Some say it's just an attempt to oust him from office. Is that an assertion you agree with?
If you would remember, right from the point or time Mr. Afoko picked his nomination form, or even conceived the idea when he came out, before picking the nomination forms, that the man wanted to contest for the national chairmanship. The sort of bad mouthing, bad press he got. He was a cocaine dealer, he was a gay, a whole lot of negative things were said about the man. He picks his nomination form, ready for vetting, he attends vetting, and Mr. Paul Afoko alone, his vetting and his outcome was delayed unduly because somebody had said that, has sent a petition or whatever you want to call it to Interpol. Interpol brings a report that says that the man is very clean. We don't have anything against the man. He goes around campaigning, and All manner of things, as I've indicated, were said about him. Discerning party people,
Still voted for him.
discerning constituency executives, discerning regional executive of the party. Majority said of all the persons contesting for the position of national chairmanship, we have listened to Mr. Paul Afoko, we have believed in his message, and we believe he can better lead the party as a national chairman. So we give him our mandate. All this while, those who were opposed to him didn't believe that the party delegates would vote for Mr. Afoko. We were thinking that after Congress in Tamale and after the elections, all these "I'm for you, I'm against you" would have stopped. But you see, sadly, those who were not for Mr. Afoko refused to accept the fact that the man had been given the mandate as the national chairman of the party.
Who are these people you speak
I cannot give you specific names, but if you look at post-Tamale, it's a clear case of will not give you the peace of mind to work as national chairman. I don't need to come and be giving you names, because you yourself, you asked me even after Tamale, bickerings and all that, they were your worst.
So the observations, not mine, not necessarily.
Whether observations, whatever name you give to it, they came from you. It means that you yourself, as somebody outside the party, that is what you have seen or heard or felt.
So who could be behind this?
I don't know. I'm saying that opponents of Mr. Paul Afoko, who didn't want him to become national chairman, we have reason to believe that they have still not accepted the fact that he was given the mandate as a national chairman.
Prior to the Congress, many suggested that the flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo had his preferred candidates, and Mr. Paul Afoko was not one of such. Could he possibly in any way be related to all this?
No, but if there's going to be an election and somebody has a preferred candidate, what is wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it.
And if I have a preferred candidate, I would obviously not want the other candidate.
If you have a preferred candidate and you do whatever you want to get the preferred candidate elected, and he or she doesn't get elected, that should be the end.
Is it the end?
All right, that's Mr. Paul Afoko's lawyer there. That's the chairman of the NPP, who is currently on suspension. We've also been joined by lawyer Mike Okoye Jr., who is also a deputy communications director of the NPP. So thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
All things fall apart and the center crumbles. The heir apparent to Ghana's throne, the next president of Ghana, is conveniently out of the country's jurisdiction and has remained curiously silent in the age of multiple and instant social media platforms. In my view, there's no better time than now for the president in waiting to demonstrate capability to be put at the helm of the ship of Ghanaian state. Those are not my words, but that of Dr. Charles Rekobrobe, who is also on suspension, by the way, very much a member of the NPP. Things are happening in the party. He's had his say. It's a 4-page, it's not an article, but those are his words that he's put out there. In the course of this conversation, I'll be reading bits and pieces of what Dr. Charles Rekobrobe has got to say on this matter. But Mr. Wrangling, yeah, you've listened to the lawyer. You know what's happening in the NPP.
NPP, very well.
What do you think? I mean, what do you say?
Well, to analyze what is happening in the NPP, I would say they are sinking very fast.
They are sinking?
Yeah, they are sinking very fast. And where it has reached, I will look at it from 3 areas. The first is the legal. Normally, an assistant or a deputy does not call a meeting when the substantive is around. So in this case,
This is the legal angle you're taking.
That's the legal angle. Since Mr. Paul Afoko was around and something was against him, they couldn't have called a meeting behind him to take a decision on
But he
him.
couldn't also have called the meeting, could he?
There is a precedent in NPP where their chairman, who was accused of taking a 10% kickback, called a meeting and relegated himself.
Called the same meeting that was going to discuss
him, but relegated it to his deputy.
Which chairman are you talking about? Which past chairman?
What is his name? Hussein, is it what? Kuseku, or what is his name?
Eseku?
Eseku.
Okay.
He was accused, there was the same wrangling of him taking a 10% kickback. And he called a meeting, and in that meeting he said, this meeting is about me. And I'm referring to the former chairman of NPP. He said, and in that case, I cannot chair this meeting. I'm relegating it to my deputy so that the decision can be taken, whether for me to be suspended or not. And when it came, the final decision was that he should be removed, and he was removed, and it was legal. In this Afoko's case, it is illegal. No one can call a meeting except a letter. If there was any charges against Mr. Afoko, then a letter should have originated from somewhere to the party's general secretary, who will then convene a meeting to be chaired by Mr. Paul Afoko. And in that case, he could have excused himself to his second deputy, who rather chaired that meeting. So in my analysis in that area, the legal aspect, it is wrong.
Okay.
And it has no locus in law.
Okay.
So I'm very, very sure that in the end, if they take it to court,
because that's what they're doing, actually.
Yeah, that's where the ruling will come from. The second aspect is in an election year, or a few months, 2 months to an election year, that's a suicidal for a political party. It is unprecedented in the history of parties.
Is that the leadership angle to the analysis that you're making?
No. I'm doing it to the ethnic
okay.
angle.
All right.
The ethnic angle is that looking at the NPP, it has always been accused of being an Akan-dominated party. And the election of Mr. Paul Afoko, even to some of us, we were very happy that finally a Northerner had come to lead NPP and that they would make inroads into the three northern regions. But this decision has blown everything off.
But how do you bring
People are running
ethnicity
from NPP into NDC now.
How do you bring ethnicity into this conversation when clearly the decision had nothing to do with that?
It had, because there were two people who were lambasted and bastardized, two people, and that is Mr. Paul Afoko and Mr. Kobina Japan. And if a decision like this is going to be taken, why not the two of them? Because that was the original call for the two to be suspended or dealt away with. So if they have forgotten about the general secretary and zeroed in on the chairman, it becomes ethnic. And that name calling of NPP not being very sensitive to ethnic issues comes up. I've heard a lot this morning from one of the lead communications director of the Northern region, and that was the angle he was talking about. He was very bitter, and he comes from Tamale, that the Northerners will not agree. And personally, that is a zero for the NPP.
You know, some people have argued that for the fact that his brother is even linked to a situation that led to the death of a chairman of their party, he should have, just based on that, resigned.
No, that is not true. If his brother took his own actions, the brother is of age, can be prosecuted, has been found, has been arrested, and is still a suspect. Has he been convicted? Not yet. And so...
No, but the words I used was just the link, the fact that that's his brother, he's linked.
There are precedents.
So that incident...
There are precedents in this country where people have been linked linked to their brothers, their sisters. I don't want to mention names in this. And we never took those issues up as being those of the person or the public figure that was associated with that particular person. We haven't done that. Ghanaians are very discerning, and nobody has pointed finger at Mr. Afoko that even though his brother was arrested as a suspect in the case, he is involved. I don't think that.
So you think
I don't think that Mr. Afoko in any way will ever think of doing such a thing.
So you think this is suicidal, considering the fact that the elections are some 12 months,
yes,
and they would need the northern votes?
They will need the northern votes.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the leadership.
The leadership part is that when there are internal wranglings in a party as such, in fact, and there's no leadership, then how can that leadership lead Ghana?
What do you mean by there's no leadership?
There's no leadership. Where is the presidential candidate of the NPP?
Let me tell you what he said. He's issued a statement.
He says they should respect.
And he's urged party members to respect a decision by the National Executive Committee to suspend party chairman Paul Afoko.
Where was he?
If you have things to do, use the channels that are laid down by the party.
No, but where was he? From the beginning, they had been calling on him to put down these, skirmishes in the party. They had been calling on him, and he has been saying on and off that he will take care of those issues. We all note that there was a meeting at the former president's house, His Excellency John Kufuor's house, and the promise was that all these internal wranglings was going to be put to rest. And as a leader in the party, a presidential candidate, he was elected first a very long time ago to lead this particular party, and he should have worked his way to calm down. If I can go back to the time when Kufuor, His Excellency, was elected as a presidential candidate, there was the same division in the party, but His Excellency John Kufuor managed to control the party and to navigate the party into victory.
But you think Akufo-Addo has not done that?
He has not done that. And that shows that he cannot lead Ghana. That is my leadership aspect, part of my analysis.
Mr. Michael Craig Jr.
Yes, Mama V, let me start by saying a very good morning to your viewers, your listeners, and to my brother, Mambwa Roxin, and to your good self.
Good morning.
My brother, who at the end of the day, I'm not surprised, because he's sitting on the other side of the fence, is looking for any opportunity to look into the NPP soup and take the biggest meat. After all, as a person standing for NDC in Bimbela, who is an NDC member and an aspiring candidate, it's in his interest to try and put a wooden spoon into NPP matters.
But there are others who are not necessarily NDC or from other parties.
But I'm talking about the program now.
Similar analysis.
Oh, no, not at all. That Nana Akufo-Addo is not a good leader. No, not at all. Why? Before I even go into the details of this matter, in his own party, did they not suspend Josiah? Did they not do that? Their own general secretary? Did they not suspend Kofi Adams, who today has been brought back and is national organizer? We have a right to make decisions in our party which are to our best interest.
Is this the right time? We've got 12 months to a major election.
Oh, but Kofi Adams was suspended less than 3 months to election.
You would not want to.
No,
Kofi Adams was not a chairman of the party.
That's not the point. The point is that he was a spokesperson of the ex-president, and at that time a very influential person of the party. So all I'm saying is that let us not pretend as if we don't know about disciplinary procedures in a party. Nevertheless, that is not even just the issue. The NPP as a party, there are certain things that, if you ask me as a communicator, deputy director of the party, personal things that I won't be able to say here. But there are certain happenings in our party where this same NDC, they tell us, oh, so if this and that is happening, why don't you take charge? Why don't you make your own decisions? The issue is simple. In our party constitution, there's room for people to send a petition to NEC, send a petition to disciplinary committee, and then the disciplinary committee who can discipline anybody in a party. I've heard some people make all sorts of assertions that the disciplinary committee cannot discipline anybody. In our constitution is there that our disciplinary committee at the national level can discipline national officers, they can discipline patrons. It's all there.
But
in our constitution.
Who calls for a meeting?
Our constitution says it's the chairman who calls for a meeting. But our constitution also allows that if the chairman has been suspended, then somebody else can call the meeting.
Before the meeting, he had not been suspended.
No. There was a recommendation that the disciplinary committee said he had been suspended, and therefore the vice should call that meeting for the matter to be dealt with. And
okay.
You know why?
That's a bit confusing for me to understand.
Well, exactly.
Please come back and break it down.
Yes, I'll break it down. Remember that Mr. Paul Afoko had been summoned to the disciplinary committee three times. On all three occasions, he did not show. Now, Mama,
his lawyer disputes that.
His lawyer can dispute all he likes. But it is a fact that he was called on one occasion. He said he was not even well. On one occasion, he said there was another matter. 3 times.
But if
even to the extent that, oh, madam, let me tell you that.
No, I just want to say that if it's got explanation, then it doesn't mean that he didn't show up.
If you keep interrupting, you won't get the story.
No, I just wanted to understand.
You say because his lawyer said something.
Yes.
So let me answer that. It's very important. Even to the extent that Mr. Paul Afoko suggested at one point that he does not feel safe coming to the party headquarters. And so they should choose a certain maybe hotel or neutral location of his choice. So anybody who tell us that Mr. Paul Afoko was not called or he did not come and it's a liar.
Did they agree to that last suggestion?
I don't understand because I have to explain your question. You asked me a question.
Yeah, but if I don't understand something, I also have to ask you for further clarification.
Let me finish. You understand, madam? So if you are called on 3 occasions by the disciplinary committee of the party and you are not able to show, as for me, the issue is I don't want us to look at this thing on personal level. We are looking at it as systems. They should tell me, NDC, that if the disciplinary committee sanctions a member, you are called to it to come and explain something 3 occasions, and each time one was for unavailability, one was for sickness reasons, the 3rd time was for venue. In fact, some people have even made a statement that a general who cannot go to his own barracks, a party chairman cannot go to his own party headquarters for just a simple meeting. Mr. Kwabena Jepon has been coming to the headquarters. Mr. Kwabena Jepon has been coming to the office. He has been coming to work. At the moment, Mr. Kwabena Jepon has been traveling with a flag bearer. So anybody who will come and sit on TV and say that because Mr. Kwabena Jepon is not a northerner, I mean, I'm surprised that you will come up with that kind of angle of tribalism. Why? You sack Kofi Adams because he's an Ewe, or Josiah because he's a Gan, or your parties you don't like Gans. Is that the issue? Was the chairman before Mr. Afoko not a Gan? Was he an Akan? He wasn't.
So are we saying that the 3 reasons he gave on the 3 different occasions were not good enough?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not a member of the disciplinary committee. That is not my jurisdiction. I'm just giving you the story because I am not forming any opinion on this matter.
Because you're saying that he was suspended even before this announcement.
What happened was that because he did not come the 3 times, if you had come there and you had finished the matter with him, then they could have addressed him and said, okay, in our opinion, we still think that we are going to recommend to NEC that you should be suspended. So call a meeting and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But because he was not there and he had not, remember that one of the charges against him was that he's not calling NEC meetings. He's not calling National Council meetings. He's not calling steering committee meetings. Is the party to be held to ransom? No. So now an order has come from the disciplinary area of the party that in view of the fact that he is not available, you know the word AWOL, absent without leave. He's absent. Every time he's called for officially, we can't find him. Then we mandate that the first vice should call the meeting. The first vice did not call the meeting on his own. He was mandated to call the meeting. Now, anybody else can try to put a spin on it and say that, but he should have called it and so on. That's the opinion. But our party has structures. and the structures will work. And if the structures are working, and anybody comes to do cheap politics to say that, oh, when somebody from the north was voted, we were happy, and because of why? Our party is not to vote a particular person to make a certain people happy. When Jake was voted into power, it doesn't mean that I was happy because I was a Ghan. No, I was happy because he can do the work. And we should be looking at the competence of the person. Of course, you can have a slight opinion that, oh, this person has been elected from this area and so on and so forth. But that is not how our party works. That is not how NPP works. So we deal with the matters as they come. Look.
Can I ask you, Dr.
Just have turmoil. They had so much turmoil that a new political party was formed from within NDC. NDC joined a Congress, beat up a woman, trying to strip her naked, Francis Yem. They did this. NDC, government in power. Have we not heard how the Afoko North MP, the chairman, has been stabbed in the head? Mr. Roxon, is this what happening in your party? And all of this is happening, you come and sit here and pretend. No, we in NPP, we have not had a new party formed. We in NPP, we have not had our former first lady, Nana Kunido Adjumare Rawlings, go and form NDP. We have not had Obeda Samwa go and form DFE. We have not had all of that.
So this is not unique. This is not unique.
I want to know. I want to even create that history. And you know the funny thing, madam, despite all that happened, they still won the election in 2008. Because Ghanaians realized that it is not what is happening in a party that determines governance. Ghanaians remember that when Ghana was under the management of NDC for civilian rule of 8 years and the rest, they left Ghana at hip peak. When NPP came, within 8 years, lower middle income. They have come back again. Within 7 years, we are at IMF bailout. That is what Ghanaians know. They are not going to look at, something happened in your party headquarters and something.
Let me give Mr. Roxon the opportunity because you've been listening for a while.
Okay. Yes, unfortunately, he has mentioned NDP, and I want him to know, maybe he doesn't know, that was the interim general secretary of the NDP.
So you are part. Look at that.
No,
you wasn't part of the
but
opposition.
listen carefully. No, but listen carefully. But what leadership means in a country, if you can lead a country, like what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is doing right now, is that when you have divisions and wranglings in your party, you show up and chest it and show leadership. Just after the demise, listen,
no,
just
let
after
me finish with this.
The passing away of the former president, and that is His Excellency
J.A. Mills.
J. Mills, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took over. He took over in the midst of internal wranglings in NDC. But what did he do? He called the party to attention. He dismantled the game. You remember the game? The game was for the castle. And then the, what they call it, was for...
Fonka.
The Fonka was for Ridge. He called a meeting. And in that meeting, showed leadership.
So
you think we could win the next election.
So you think President Mahama, I mean, if you compare his leadership skills to that of Nana Akufo-Addo, he's better at it?
Two different ways. They not even crossing each other. They will never parallel. They will never cross each other.
Well,
because the leadership style of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is compromising, bringing people together for a purpose.
Okay,
and that was what he did when NDC was divided.
All right.
We were totally divided to a point that we formed a party. But what happened? He said, look, if we can unite and...
Not everybody from the NDP is back to the NDC, by the way. It is still a party.
But almost everybody has come back to the NDC.
Well, let me end with you, Mr. Michael Kuja. How is this... What should we expect again? So he's on suspension indefinitely.
I was actually going to add what you just added, that I'm surprised that he's saying that President John Mahama has been able to bring so and so on board, because we all know that even Nana Kunido Adjumare Rawlings herself is not on board. You have not been able to...
But what has happened? Because I don't have time. I want to know what's going to happen.
I thought come back.
Let's talk about the NPP.
Speak and then I speak.
Yeah, please, let's talk about the NPP.
You speak and I speak.
Let's talk about the NPP.
I just wanted to give an example that sometimes you should remove the wooden log from your eye before you talk about the speck.
What's going to happen
in
now?
Somebody's, what is going to happen is that the systems are going to work. If the chairman, who has been suspended now, Mr. Afoko, has a grievance, as Nana Dodanko Akufo-Addo said, he must take it through the structures. If he's not satisfied with that, then he has a way to go out somewhere else. But for me, Mama V, let us be very blunt here, that in this period, there's been a lot of turmoil in the party. Somebody made a joke that within the time that we've had our chairman on board, we've had more peace talks in NPP, more than Israel and Palestine combined. We have to do something about it.
So he is the problem.
So if our NEC has done something in their opinion about it, and he disagrees, he will come to NEC. When he comes to NEC, then they will sit down and they will talk. But nobody should sit anywhere and make it look as if because we are dealing with our problems in NPP, NPP is not viable or NPP doesn't know what they are doing.
Okay.
In fact, it's because we know what we are doing, that's why we are attempting to deal with our own issues in our party, and then we come out to, by the grace of God, win the next election with Nana Dodanko Akufo-Addo, who we know in our constitution, see, our party is running for NDC. Nana Addo is not allowed to interfere in our party.
All right.
Nana Addo cannot call meetings. Nana Addo is not allowed to influence any decision. That is how we have done it. Dichotomy. Nana Addo should stay somewhere so that the party can run without Nana Addo. So
I'm
now when
grateful
there's
for
a
your
problem,
time this morning.
I don't see why you should
We have
blame
to end.
Nana Addo for the problem.
wonder.
All right, we have to end the
Give me
talk
the last
segment.
word.
How can I give you the last word?
Glad
Is that
that
the last
you
word?
No, I need to
with
give the last
Is that an
entertainment.
instruction?
That's why you can't win.
My friend, the father you are